We're looking at September 1991. We left off in August of 91 with you and Larry becoming finalists in a tournament for the vacant World Tag Team titles. And this month, we're not going to waste any time getting into it. Our man, the Enforcer, he's back where he belongs, and he's going to be on top here with the tag team as a tag team champion with Larry Zbyszko as his partner. And it all happens on September the 5th. WCW holds Clash of the Champions 16 at the Augusta Richmond County Civic Center. 2,800 fans attended the event, and it drew a 3.7 television rating. The main event of the evening was the finals of the World Tag Team Tournament. You have Rick Steiner Arn teaming with Bill Kazmier, and the reason for this is because Scott had torn his bicep. He had a bicep injury earlier in July of that year, so Bill becomes the man, and he tags with Rick. And we're going to get into some highlights here, and I have a couple questions for you about Bill. But apparently, you and Larry decided that you needed an advantage in the main event here on Clash. And Bill was doing a feat of strength here in the ring, and you and Larry would attack him. You injured him, and it, of course, gave you the advantage going into this main event match. And Arn, as always here on the Arn Show, we have the clip to go back and show you this. So we're going to take a look at what you and Larry did to Bill before the main event match. It's our first clip of the week. Again, this is Clash of the Champions, September 5th, 1991. Let's check it out together.
Kazmier, the strongest man in the world, as he attempts to set a new world record here at the Clash of Champions. He's set.
Good grief.
It's bending behind the neck now. He's almost got it. Bill Kazmier, the strongest man in the world, cheer him on. He's going to get it. Bill Kazmier.
Oh, wait a minute.
The strongest man in the world.
Look out from behind.
That's a new
Oh, my gosh. That just rammed those 45-pound, that steel plate right into his ribs. Anderson and Zbyszko had to be a premeditated attack. Here comes Rick Steiner. Tony down the ramp, but it's too late.
Steiner is way too late. And they're going out the exit door to our right over here. Can you believe that? We talked about trying to get an early advantage. He can't even get up.
He just broke the world's record, but his ribs may be broken for his troubles, and we'll be back right after this.
Eric Bischoff saying his name correctly, Bill Kazmier. But Arn, let's talk about this because this is some old school storytelling here. Injuring your opponent before the big match, right? And not only do you guys get the advantage for the upcoming main event match, but the visual of using the weight plate reminds the fans that you and Larry are dangerous and you guys are willing to do whatever it takes to get those titles. You've been a part of a lot of angles, Arn, in your illustrious career. Do you believe something like this is good, effective storytelling here?
Oh, of course. I mean, you think about the symbolism. Let's just start at the beginning. Scott Steiner tore a bicep.
Yes. Yeah.
You've seen the biceps on Scott Steiner? How do you tear one of those?
Boulders.
So something must have been pretty drastic to tear his bicep. Anyway, so the powers that be, they don't go out and just get him a great fill-in. They get the world's strongest man, and that's legit. Bill Kazmier won many of those world's strongest man competitions. I mean, this guy he's a freak. He's at a different level in a different world. But that's, I say all the time, there's a lot of great athletes in this world that can't do what we do. And professional wrestling is a whole different animal. It's a combination of a lot of different things. So, he's going to come out, and for the people that don't know, a lot of people, if you took a survey and said, who's the reigning world's strongest man per the world's strongest man competition, there's probably 1% that can name that. I don't know who it is. Mm-mm. So it wasn't mainstream then. It's not mainstream now, but it has its following, and the people that know really know. And the fact is, all those world's strongest man athletes are legitimate monsters, beasts. And Kazmier was the reigning champion at the time. So as far as having wrestling experience, that's another matter. So, If he wants to bring weights into it, well, we thought it would be apropos to go ahead and introduce him to a 45 with Larry on one end of it and me on the other.
And the execution was flawless, but it looks like, obviously the booking here is how do we replicate the look of Scott, right? So you go out and you get a beast like this. It's not necessarily looking for the most technical wrestler. It's looking somebody that will complement Rick and has that same, I guess, look to a Scott Steiner, right? That's what they're going for here.
Well, Paul, let's face it, here's the thing. A guy that bench presses, let's just say, 680 pounds or whatever he would have done at the time, 700 pounds, who knows. But when a guy is that strong and in every part of his body, he could literally reach out and just grab you by the wrist, if he chose to, and just snap your wrist in half. Forget about the ability to wrestle amateur, professional, or otherwise. Right. A guy that has that kind of strength, he could get a hold
legitimacy.
Of your foot. Yeah, he's legitimate. I mean, this is a guy that, probably does shoulder presses with 250-pound dumbbells. I mean, if you work out and you're listening to this podcast, yeah, that's a real thing. 250-pound dumbbells, seated shoulder presses, whatever it was that he did is at such another level from us regular guys that just work out to try to stay in some shape and, protect ourselves, put a coat of armor over our bones. This guy is from another planet. And, he could reach out, grab you by the foot, and just twist your ankle and just snap it. Mm. So the danger involved with bringing a guy like that into a wrestling match, once again, you're talking about being behind the 8 ball. My God. But it brings me to the next step. I don't care how much muscle you have or how much you can bench or how strong your triceps are or how much you can deadlift. When you crack or break somebody's ribs and they can't get oxygen, they can't breathe, broken ribs will make a mere mortal out of anybody. And that was the reason we went for the ribs. That's the reason it did put us at an advantage that we didn't have. And there was a game plan. It wasn't just a random, why'd you hit him in the ribs? If you've ever broke a rib, you know what I'm talking about.